Have you ever trusted someone so deeply that you'd hand them the keys to everything you built, only to discover they were secretly planning to destroy it? That's exactly what happened to Claire Dawson, the owner of a breathtaking maple estate where hundreds of couples celebrated the happiest day of their lives. One quiet autumn morning, as she confidently rehearsed a wedding ceremony from memory, local craftsman Ethan Brooks smiled and joked, "With how well you know every wedding, you'd make an incredible bride someday." Claire gave a faint smile but quietly replied, "I need someone who doesn't leave when life gets hard." Ethan froze, sensing there was a painful story behind those words. Neither of them realized that within days, a shocking betrayal buried inside Claire's own family would threaten to take away the estate her late father had spent his entire life building. And the only man standing beside her when everything fell apart would be the quiet carpenter no one truly knew. This wasn't just the beginning of a love story. It was the start of a battle that would change all of their lives forever. Claire had grown up among thousands of maple trees planted by her grandfather decades earlier. After the maple business slowed, her father transformed the land into one of the state's most sought-after wedding venues. Following his passing, his will gave Claire 1 year of complete control before every major decision would return to the family board. That deadline was now only days away. While she struggled to prepare financial reports, Ethan quietly repaired the old ceremony pavilion with remarkable precision. He never wasted materials, never inflated invoices, and always left before sunset to pick up his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. One evening, Claire's longtime accountant, Mrs. Harris, reminded her, "The board meeting is this Thursday. After that, every decision will need their approval." Claire nodded, hiding her worry. As she turned back toward the pavilion, she noticed Ethan watching her with quiet concern. He didn't ask questions or offer empty comfort. He simply said, "Heavy days don't last forever." Claire smiled politely, unaware that the real storm wasn't coming from outside. It was already waiting inside the boardroom, wearing an expensive suit and pretending to protect her family's legacy. The next morning, Ethan arrived with his cheerful 8-year-old daughter, Lily. As Claire organized decorations near the ceremony lawn, Lily noticed a white satin ribbon lying in the grass. She carefully picked it up and walked over. "I think one of yesterday's brides dropped this," she said with an innocent smile. Claire thanked her and slipped the ribbon into her pocket instead of the lost and found box, though she couldn't explain why. Moments later, Claire's cousin and board member, Richard Dawson, arrived carrying a tablet full of financial charts. Without even greeting her, he announced, "Maintenance costs are climbing again. At Thursday's meeting, I'll recommend selling the north section of the estate." Claire stared at him in disbelief. "That land is the heart of this place. Couples come here because of those trees." Richard shrugged. "Feelings don't pay bills." Ethan overheard every word but remained silent, noticing how Richard avoided looking Claire in the eyes. Years of working with people had taught Ethan one thing: when someone refuses eye contact while discussing money, they're usually hiding something. And for the first time, he began to wonder if the greatest danger to the estate wasn't financial at all. It was someone sitting at Claire's own family table. 2 days before the board meeting, a well-known event designer visited the estate to inspect the venue for a luxury wedding. While examining the handcrafted pavilion, she suddenly stopped and ran her fingers across one of the wooden beams. "Who built this?" she asked in surprise. Ethan quietly raised his hand. Her eyes widened. "You're Ethan Brooks? The same builder who designed award-winning wedding stages for celebrities?" Claire looked at him in complete disbelief. Ethan had never mentioned any of it. After the designer walked away, Claire asked softly, "Why hide something like that?" Ethan paused before answering. "Because that life ended the day my wife passed away. Fame didn't matter anymore. My daughter needed a father more than the industry needed another designer." Claire saw the pain in his eyes and didn't ask another question. At that same moment, miles away, Richard sat inside a private office, speaking on the phone with the property developer. "Everything is ready," he whispered. "Once the board votes, the land will be ours." He smiled confidently, unaware that one small mistake in his financial records was already waiting to expose everything. The night before the vote, Claire stayed late in her office reviewing every financial report herself. Something didn't feel right. Just as she was about to leave, Mrs. Harris knocked on the door carrying a thick folder. "I found something strange," she said quietly. Several large consulting payments had been sent to a company no one at the estate had ever worked with. The records showed the same amount leaving the business every few months, hidden under different project names. Curious, Claire traced the company registration. Her heart nearly stopped. The business was secretly linked to Richard through an anonymous holding company. Even worse, the contract promised him a huge commission if the estate's north section was sold after her father's one-year control period expired. Richard hadn't been trying to save the family business, he had been preparing to profit from its downfall all along. Before Claire could even process the shock, Ethan arrived to return a forgotten set of keys. One look at her face told him everything had changed. Without asking a single question, he pulled up a chair beside her. "Whatever you're facing," he said calmly, "you don't have to face it alone." The board gathered the next morning, confident the vote would end quickly. Richard stood first, displaying polished charts that claimed selling the north section was the only way to save the estate. Several board members nodded in agreement. Then Claire calmly rose from her chair and placed Mrs. Harris's folder on the table. "Before anyone votes," she said, "there's something you deserve to see." One by one, she revealed the hidden payments, the fake consulting company, and the signed agreement proving Richard would personally receive a large commission if the land was sold. The room fell completely silent. Richard immediately pointed toward Ethan. "She's only saying this because that carpenter has been influencing her decisions." Claire didn't even look at Richard. Instead, she invited Ethan to speak. Using years of construction experience, Ethan explained how restoring the estate would generate far greater long-term profits than selling its most valuable land. His facts destroyed every argument Richard had prepared. For the first time, the board realized they had almost sacrificed their family's legacy because they trusted the wrong man. Richard's confident smile slowly disappeared as every eye in the room turned toward him. The vote was held only minutes later. One by one, every board member raised a hand against Richard's proposal. The final count wasn't even close. Richard lost by a landslide, and the chairman immediately suspended him pending a full investigation. Security escorted him out of the room while he kept insisting he had done nothing wrong, but no one believed him anymore. As the doors closed behind him, the tension that had filled the estate for months finally began to disappear. Outside, workers continued decorating for the weekend wedding, completely unaware that the future of the property had just been saved. Claire quietly walked onto the empty ceremony lawn, exhausted but relieved. Ethan found her standing beneath the old maple trees, staring at the place her father had loved most. "He'd be proud of you," Ethan said softly. Claire looked at him with tears in her eyes. "I thought I had to carry all of this by myself." Ethan smiled gently. "Strong people don't win because they fight alone. They win because they finally let someone stand beside them." For the first time in a long while, Claire truly believed those words. A few weeks later, the estate felt alive again. Weddings returned, families filled the gardens with laughter, and every reservation calendar was nearly full. The board officially removed Richard from all company responsibilities, while an investigation recovered thousands of dollars that had been secretly taken from the business. One quiet evening after the final wedding of the season, Claire found Ethan repairing a small wooden arbor near the maple trees. "No client ordered this," she said with a smile. Ethan looked up and replied, "I know. I built it for someone who reminded me that broken things don't always stay broken. Claire stood beside him, remembering everything they had survived together. She gently took his hand and whispered, "When this all began, I was trying to save my father's dream. I never expected to find someone who would help me build a new one." Ethan smiled as Lily ran toward them, laughing through the falling autumn leaves. For the first time in years, the estate wasn't just a place where strangers celebrated love, it had become the place where two wounded hearts quietly found their own. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't land or money, it's finding the person who refuses to walk away when everything else falls apart. If this story touched your heart, and you believe justice should always prevail, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more powerful stories like this. We'll see you in the next story.